and girls, this is Jerningham here, ladies and gentlemen. NATO, how Finland will fight in a war with Russia and Ukraine invasion. Don't say much about Switzerland or Turkey, but let's play the video.
Sort of like guts. Grit, perseverance, and stubbornness.
Even though it seems from the first hour of the war that you are going to lose this battle.
No matter how bad it's going.
You won't give up in any circumstances.
It's not about war and battle, it's about living in Finland, hard winters, lots of suffering in the Finnish history, and the whole nation has held it together. And maybe Sisu is the explanation for that.
In the depths of a pine forest an hour's drive from Helsinki, some 100 Finnish army reservists are gearing up for a day of shooting. It's part hobby, part training, and part subtle signal to Finland's potential enemies. The message: think twice.
Once you go to Helsinki and you go to buy a pack of cigarettes from Arkioski or a grocery store, the person selling those cigarettes to you, he knows how to shoot with bazooka. So we are basically almost all male trained, and our neighbors know this. They are very aware that this country is able to provide 900,000 people with guns to the border in a matter of days or weeks. So they know it. I think nowadays, after this Ukraine invasion, people are a bit scared, I would say. That makes all this kind of shooting sports, for example. It's kind of this is a good time to be doing this kind of activities also to show that we are having capabilities, and we have very motivated reservists in this country.
Jussi Naske is a 32-year-old IT strategy consultant. He's also a member of Finland's reservist army and a crack shot with his customized AR-15 rifle.
Rifle with 16 barrel. Nordic Components AR, very reliable, good AR rifle, and I'm also having
There we go. Adverts on the TV of Fortnite.
I'm Brennan, and I'm going to give you some tips.
a Leopold scope on it. This is a rifle stage, so you're shooting this stage with a rifle. Usually people are using AR rifles, some are using 7.62 calibers as well, but most of the rifles are .223 ARs.
Like most men in Finland,
Well,
Jussi has served.
accuse me of
It wasn't
fucking...
a choice. He enjoyed it nonetheless.
We have a very long tradition and history of conscription. In Finland, we have basically always had the conscription, so it is a tradition that goes cross generations, I would say. There are older generations who have done the same, and we also know generations to come will also have the same. And there is very huge importance for all of us that we are able to maintain the sovereignty of our country. I was very surprised when I started doing this, how physical it gets. And you're running, you are getting your body to very strange positions and so on. So it is actually, and there is always a time pressure.
In here we have two vehicle targets that simulate armored personal carriers with crown cardboard targets about the size of big tires of armored vehicles. So we simulate doing a mobility kill on an armored personal carrier by shooting the tires many times. The rightmost shooting position is some kind of a bunker because it has a small viewport from where the competitor can shoot. It requires a difficult shooting position. Targets are small, about the size of a man's head, at various distances, and it has a contrast between a very easy target, which is the tire of the armored vehicle, and then a combatant who is taking cover and only the head is visible.
Geography is a challenge for us. We have always been kind of between the east and the west. we used to have a very good relation with Russia as well. It was something we were kind of proud of also, that we are able to cooperate, but now after this full-blown war of Ukraine, it has made us also to feel very insecure in Finland. And that's why we have received a tremendous amount of new people participating in these reservist organizations and so on. So I would answer that geography it poses us some challenges that perhaps British people, for example, cannot understand as such easily.
Unbelievable. That was very good.
Finland is one of the few countries in Europe which still operates a policy of mandatory military service.
I don't know,
for
mate.
men. Conscription means the small Nordic country of just 5.5 million people can muster one of the largest reserve armies in the world. These citizen soldiers are often members of reservist organisations which run voluntary training events like this shooting competition. Since Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, Finns have been flocking to attend refresher courses in everything from shooting to anti-tank techniques and basic survival skills.
At the beginning of this year, our club was roughly 1,000 members, and now it's close to 1,450. So 450 more. I have talked with them, and the honest answer from them is that they join us because of the security issue and the Ukraine.
Antti Kettunen is chairman of the Vantaa Reservists Club. Now a salesman, he did his mandatory service between 1997 and 1998. Since then, he's made sure to stay battle ready.
It's healthy to know that you can shoot the 40 centimeter target up to 500 meters. It's neat for skill like swimming. If you have drop from the boat, you need to know how to swim back to the boat.
Dickheads, man.
I wish that everybody know how to shoot. Could be a useful skill one day. If you need to shoot, shoot. If you need to talk.
I'm only in the shit, anyway.
Samurai
Would
in the garden,
probably
the
told
garden
too.
in the war.
I don't know, mate. I haven't spoken to him about it.
Defending our country is really kind of deep-rooted in our
Don't know about
values.
Finland, though. They have to
It
get
is
prepared,
our
wouldn't they?
duty, and also that it is totally normal to think about what happens if I need to defend my country.
Jari Laine is CEO of military and outdoor supply company Varusteleka. Since Putin launched his war in Ukraine, he's seen demand skyrocket.
Interesting, isn't it, guys? Girls, ladies and
After
gentlemen.
the attack, it's been
It's going to be quite a long video, though. So I'm going to try and press play again.
crazy. Some of the categories like first aid, combat gear, all the field gear, they have grown hundreds of percentages compared to the same period of time last year. So yeah, it kind of exploded. One item which has been kind of really popular
You've got an army vest.
past few
Thing with
months
this is, what
has
about the
been
sides if you get
the
stabbed or
basic plate
something?
carrier. The
The
waist
knife will
base
go through.
where you can put the protective plates in and then have the pouches for magazine, and then on the sides you can attach, for example, pouches for tourniquet and first aid kit and radio and so forth. So this has been a top seller, and in conjunction with
That's what I'm saying, a plate.
we have sold a lot of protective plates with the different protection levels. That particular plate one is the rating for that, which is the NATO 7.62 caliber. So pretty powerful bullet would this particular plate would stop. So here we have one example on the mannequin, like basic combat clothing, combat boots, load-bearing belt. You could mount the pouches and the pistol there, and then basic load-bearing vest, the chest rig, where you can carry few magazines, maybe the first aid kit. Another like popular item, what we're selling a lot is the helmets. Protects from shrapnel and handgun projectiles. You can mount the
Wasn't
night
stupid,
vision there. You can have your
But this would be alright to learn about
communications
things like...
and ear protection. Many of the items, especially in Finland, are used by reservists or active duty soldiers. Even though the government is offering of course, they are issuing you a kit, but many of the reservists and active duty personnel are upgrading their kit to be more effective in their line of duty, and that's a big part of our business, what we do.
Not all the items are being bought by the Finnish for the Finnish, though. Some are being sent to Ukraine to be used on the front line. Some are being bought by other Europeans, in particular from people in Sweden and Germany, where sales are up 40% on last year.
It's no news for, at least for a majority of the Finns, that Russia might be aggressive towards their neighboring countries. I think people have been like, okay, that was a wake-up call, that maybe now I need to get in a shape and make sure that I have
Plenty
the
of
right
things to
gear
go right.
and I have the right training if something happens. But it's pretty hard to be happy about the sales increase due to the Russians' attack to Ukraine. I'm really angry about it. Ukraine is a sovereign country. They just want to live their life. They're not bothering Russians or anyone else. So I don't see any justification for that type of violence. And I just hope that the Russian forces would be driven back to Moscow and we could isolate the Russia totally from the world, and maybe they could kind of apply world membership after 2,000 years. But yeah, that's how I feel. I think Finland is really well prepared, and the willingness to protect this country is really high. So
My belly just keeps rumbling. I got to sort my stomach out in a minute. I
similar
think.
kind of development in things. It would be really bad for Russian troops. They will be probably wiped out.
Oh, the stupid adverts, man. Just hate these fucking adverts. They're annoying. Right, I'm gonna get myself some food, guys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, back in a minute. We can film more of this in 1 minute. And it's thundering light outside as well. Yeah, my live muscle stiffened up. Yeah, I'm doing a live stream video. Yeah. Cramp, I think. I'm getting angry. A little bit annoyed, yeah, just getting my opinions out, things.
key weapon system.
Make sure that I have
I don't
the
know, I
right
just get
gear
annoyed.
and I have the right training if something happens. But it's
These.
pretty hard to be happy about the sales increase due to the Russians' attack to Ukraine. I'm really angry about it. Ukraine is a sovereign country. They just want to live their life. They're not bothering Russians or anyone else, so I don't see any justification for that type of violence. And I just hope that the Russian forces would be driven back to Moscow and we could isolate the Russia totally from the world, and maybe they could kind of apply world membership after 2,000 years. But yeah, that's how I feel. I think Finland is really well prepared, and the willingness to protect this country is really high. So I think if there would be a similar kind of development in things, it would be really bad for Russian troops. They would be probably wiped out.
The key weapon system of Finnish defense is the willingness to defend
Water.
our own country. Civis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, you have to prepare for war.
Helsinki's island military base of Santa Hermina,
Water.
a fresh batch of conscripts are taking their oath of allegiance. Observing is Jan Makitalo, military professor of operational art and tactics at the National Defense University.
This military oath is a very symbolic event. They give their oath promising that they will defend Finland with all the strength that they have, even if it requires the ultimate sacrifice. They commit to that.
This conscript army is the backbone of Finland's all-encompassing defense system, known as comprehensive security. It basically means that in the event of an invasion, the entire Finnish society can be mobilized to resist.
This was our experience from the Second World War. Because we are a small country, we are not able to maintain a large number army in peacetime. And in the wartime, we have to have a system that all the power, all the forces of our society is directed for the defense of Finland. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the beginning of 1990s and the Cold War ended, most of the European countries abolished their large-scale armies. They ended the general conscription service. They sold lots of material. For example, Netherlands gave up the whole armored force and we bought it. As a small country, we knew that we should have a readiness because we have our historical background being a neighbor with Russia, Soviet Union. We can't afford to lose the infrastructure of the large-scale army. We are not able to rebuild it in a short time. That's why we maintained it, and we kept the structure, the backbone intact, and now I think it was a very well done decision made by our politicians and our top generals back then.
Well, there we are. More adverts.
Hi, I'm Reggie Rao, and I'm his brother, Electric Cloud, and we are...
So, what is that structure? Finland's military is made up of a total of 900,000 reservists, of which 280,000 can be mustered to form a wartime strength. Of that 280,000, only 3% are full-time professional military personnel, just 23,000 people. On land, Finland has 200 tanks, more than 2,000 armoured vehicles, over 100 self-propelled artillery pieces, and more than 600 towed artillery weapons. In the air, the majority of their strength lies in the 50 single-seat FA-18C Hornets. But by 2030, Finland plans to have procured 64 Lockheed F-35 fighter jets in a deal which was sealed in late 2021.
Most of the Finnish soil is still forest with thick trees, rocks, difficult terrain for tanks to operate. And the whole tactics, whole operational art, whole doctrine of Finnish defense forces, it's planned according to that, to take advantage of those features of our terrain. If there would be a surprise attack, we have certain readiness forces which are prepared to give the first strike, to hit hard, to hit fast. We have forces which are able to delay the enemy. They are the new local forces that we are recreating and giving more strength to them. The local forces, they are like an anvil, and then we have operational forces which are like a sledgehammer, and they hit together, and hopefully the enemy will be between them, and we think that that will be the end of the war.
The return of war to Europe has led to a major boost to Finland's military budget, with the government promising to increase defence spending by €2.2 billion over the next 4 years. Putin's onslaught has also led to one of the most significant U-turns in recent Finnish history, reversing decades of military non-alignment in a country set slap bang between East and West.
I warmly welcome the requests by Finland and Sweden to join NATO.
NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is a defensive pact signed in the aftermath of World War II between an initial 12 countries.
In this treaty, we seek to establish freedom from aggression and from the use of force in the North Atlantic community.
Over the intervening decades, the alliance has swelled to include 30 nations, stretching from the US Alaskan coast to Turkey in the east. The critical component to the alliance is Article 5, which states that an armed attack against one or more NATO countries shall be considered an attack against them all. It's a security guarantee that, up until now, a majority of the Finnish people were opposed to. But Russia's actions have flipped public opinion on its head.
If a neighbor of Russia, Ukraine, had even larger army than Finland had, and they are brother nations, Russians and Ukrainians, if Russia is able and willing to attack Ukraine, perhaps we have to rethink the whole picture again. In addition to the disaster that Russia has now in Ukraine, the actions of Finland and Sweden has been the second loss of Russia. They didn't expect us to act like this. So I think our president said it very well in his speech. He said that
you caused this. Look at the mirror.
The benefits of membership for Finland are obvious, but what will NATO gain from its newest applicant?
They will not get a country which is expecting all the help. We are able to defend ourselves. I think we have those kind of qualities that not so many NATO countries right now have. A large reserve, joint fire ability, air-to-ground capabilities, long-range artillery and rocket fire systems. We are able to defend our country even by ourselves. This is sort of additional assurance. I think our capabilities, they will increase peace in Scandinavia and in the northern flank of NATO.
Just inside the Arctic Circle is Western Europe's largest military training area. Here, amongst 1,200 square kilometers of Lapland forest, I'm about to witness proof of that sentiment.
Another advert.
I got the job. I'm wonderful. And they're paying what I asked for.
These 48-ton South Korean manufactured K9 Thunder howitzers can launch a 150mm caliber projectile up to 40 kilometers at maximum range. And when that payload lands, it's capable of destroying an area between 50 and 100 meters wide. Each of these tanks is crewed by 5 soldiers, all but one, their attendance is mandatory. The only person here purely out of choice is 21-year-old Sophie Hagman.
I think it's really important that everyone should defend our country in their own way, and I wanted to do it in the military service.
Women can volunteer to serve if they're between the ages of 18 and 29, and since 1995, more than 10,000 Finnish women have done just that.
I want to defend my country in the military service, and my father is a peacekeeper. So
the Amos mortar system is a Finnish-made system, and the vehicle has two 120mm mortar tubes on the turret. We have five salvos, so 10 grenades from this position.
The Amos, or Advanced Mortar System, is crewed by a team of 4 and has a maximum range of 10 kilometers. These may just be exercises, but for the conscripts, the real-world unpredictability to the east is hard to ignore.
Our neighbor is kind of threat sometimes and can be unpredictable.
You never know what's going to happen. Where we are located, it's, well, you see where the world is right now.
Of course, the current situation in the world, the war hasn't been quite closer in many years. Sometimes I think about it, but I try to not think about it too much. I stress myself out.
I think it's important that everyone carries their duty and